These are all of PBB's static legendaries, and I'm gonna have to catch every single one of them shiny for the next 24 hours. The odds of finding a shiny legendary are 1 in 4096 encounters, but luckily I got a boost that brings that number down drastically to 1 in 128 encounters. But despite that very boost, ChatGPT said that the odds of me finding all of these legendaries shiny in 24 hours are just 0.298%, or in other words, 1 in 335 tries. So I wanted to start with the hardest legendaries I could catch, and the first one that came to mind was Shaman. The main reason was the blue fluette. You see, in order to encounter Shaman, you need to finish a quest in which you give the lady in the tent at Route 9 all 5 variations of fluettes. Fluettes in general are quite rare to find. The red one and the orange ones, which are considered to be common, are a pretty rare Pokemon to encounter in Route 10, alongside the yellow and white ones, which are even more rare than those two. Not to mention the blue one, which has only a 1% chance to be found. Luckily for me, I was able to find all of the fluettes rather easily. I was pretty much off for a lucky start. It's also fair to say that I might have been too optimistic, as one Pokemon will soon slow down my entire progress. And so 30 minutes into the challenge, I could already shiny hunt Shaman. I got the Cresselia flower and headed straight to Kragen's Cliffs and started shiny hunting Shaman. After an hour, I was able to find one, and that was our very first shiny legendary. As for the next shiny legendary, I chose the legendary birds. In order to encounter the legendary birds, we have to get tickets to each bird's islands. To do so, we must get some deep sea scales to trade them for the island's tickets. Generally, getting your hands on some deep sea scales is hard, and I didn't really want to waste much time on them anyways. So I took a Pokemon with the ability Frisk and the ability Compound Eyes to find those deep sea scales easily. I then went hunting for some Chinchus since they hold deep sea scales, and surprisingly, all it took was 30 minutes to get all 3 deep sea scales. Little did I know, getting the legendary birds shiny wasn't going to be an easy task. You see, getting Articuno barely took any time to begin with, whereas Zapdos... Have you ever felt like you've been doing something for so long yet have done no progress whatsoever? That's how shiny hunting Zapdos felt like. I thought to myself, with that kind of momentum I had since the start, finding Zapdos was going to be an easy task, but I was mistaken. After restarting the game over and over for 6 hours, I was able to find shiny Zapdos. It was horrible. I couldn't spare much more time and had to move on to Moltres, and luckily after shiny hunting Moltres for about an hour, I was able to find a shiny. With about 8 hours going down the train and getting only 4 shiny legendaries, I knew that I didn't really have much time to get the rest of the legendaries. I mean, I still had 11 of them to catch. So I decided the next trio I'm going to be catching is going to be the Reggie trio. So I headed to Route 5 to get Girafarig and then to Alderete to get myself a Dunsparce. After getting these 2 Pokemon, I completed the Reggie trio puzzle in Frostfield City and decided to shiny hunt Regice first since it's my favorite out of all 3. Regice though was no easy task. Well, that's at least what I thought as I was shiny hunting it, cause it turns out it only took me an hour to get my hands on it. Guys, it's 3 AM, like come on, give me a break. Speaking of a break, the next Reggie was Regirock, and oh boy, talk about cutting some slack. I'll let the clip speak for itself. Oh my god, literally 5 seconds. What the f***? Got Regirock as well. What the f***? What? Third f***ing encounter, oh my god. Yes, 3 f***ing encounters into shiny hunting Regirock and I found a shiny. Crazy. And as for Registeel, things went pretty smooth. I caught him also in about 30 minutes of shiny hunting. After shiny hunting the Reggie trio, I figured I have enough time to shiny hunt Lugia, and since I had already caught all 3 legendary birds, I'd be able to encounter it anyways. You see, in order to encounter Lugia, you have to get an item called Silverwing. You'll be using this item to summon Lugia in order to encounter it, and you can only get it by bringing all 3 legendary birds to the guy standing by the fountain in Cheshma Town. After getting the Silverwing, I headed to Rose Cove Beach and used Surf to head to a cave called Silver Cove. Within this cave, there's a temple that summons Lugia once you bring in the Silverwing. Lugia wasn't really that hard to shiny hunt though. All it took was an hour for me to encounter a shiny. Now since I was shiny hunting Pokemon that are relatively hard to acquire, my next legendary just had to be Volcanion. And I wasn't disappointed. You see, in order to get Volcanion, you need to get rid of the rock blocking the way into Volcanion's tomb. You do so by giving the ninja next to the rock a special dish called Epinshroom. Now, in order to make that dish, you need 3 ingredients: a Chilen berry, big mushroom, and some Stardust. Getting the Stardust and the big mushroom wasn't really an issue. Getting the Chillin Berry though was rough. Chillin Berries have a 5% chance of being held by a Rattata. You can pretty much see where I'm going with this. It took me about 30 minutes just to find one. Talk about a hassle. Anyways, with that done, I was able to shiny hunt Volcanion, which luckily didn't take all that long, which is a breather, since the amount of time I spent getting the ingredients was a little concerning. Right after shiny hunting Volcanion, I figured Victini would be a pretty good Pokemon to catch by now. I mean, the puzzle is a little messy, but that's exactly why I figured it would be a pretty good Pokemon to catch by now. If you thought getting a Chillin Berry was hard, you have no idea what's about to come. So the first puzzle was easy. The second one though, my first attempt in doing it went pretty good until I got impatient at the end. My second attempt, I encountered a bug that double-clicked every time I clicked on a piece within the puzzle. Even though I was aware of that bug until the end, just watch this reaction.
No!
And this reaction.
How? How? What?
And this reaction.
No, why? 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 Why is it double clicking? Why is it double clicking? Why?
Anyways, I was able to finish the second puzzle after 4 attempts, and I could finally beat the mummy and move on to shiny hunting Victini. Again, just like Volcanion, Victini didn't really take all that long, with just an hour long worth of resets until I was able to catch myself a shiny. As for our next legendary, I chose Diancie. Diancie requires 4 different Unowns that form the word open. We need those 4 Unowns to open a gate within Route 13 that allows us to encounter Diancie. So I immediately headed to Iridi City and went to Route 11 to look for some Unowns. And while I was looking for them, I had this wild encounter. Yes, Larios just popped out of nowhere. Talk about luck. I tried catching it, but I had no luck in doing so, unfortunately. So I decided to run away from it. I caught all of the Unowns that I needed and headed to Route 13 to catch Diancie. And as I was shiny hunting it, the game went down. I pretty much had almost 8 hours left for my timer, but couldn't really do much. I didn't give up though. I waited 2 days for the game to be up once again, and as soon as it got up, I went back to shiny hunting. Diancie took around 2 hours of shiny hunting, which is a lot, considering the fact that I had around 6 hours left of my timer, and 4 more shiny legendaries to hunt. I wasted no time and immediately headed to shiny hunt Jirachi, though Jirachi was starting to take a while. I shiny hunted it for 2 hours straight, but shiny Jirachi just wouldn't appear. I was pretty stressed timer wise, and Jirachi is such a messy Pokemon to shiny hunt since you can only summon it at night. So I headed to Team Eclipse base to shiny hunt Genesect instead. I took Professor Cypress's keycard to access the Genesect lab and immediately started shiny hunting it. And luckily, I managed to encounter a shiny in about an hour of shiny hunting it. The idea of shiny hunting Jirachi daunted me though. Not to mention shiny hunting Hoopa Unbound, that's a whole other mess that I decided to completely ignore. So I headed to Mount Igneous to shiny hunt Heatran with the time left. I mean, with 3 hours on the clock, you're pretty much hoping for a miracle. Something like that Regirock luck. I kept restarting the game over and over again, but unfortunately I was never able to find shiny Heatran, and I ran out of time. This challenge is pretty much like that Larios encounter. You get extremely lucky and then all of your luck goes for nothing. Not to mention shiny hunting Hoopa would have been horrendous since you can basically encounter it once every 6 minutes. This isn't the end though. Also guys, since we're hitting 5k subscribers, I wanted to announce our very own Discord server. The server will be used for giveaways, play together with you guys, and much more. Thank you for watching and subscribe if you want to see more.